Hi everyone, today I'm going to make a short video due to some questions on my profile saying that, show Jesus is not God and so on and so forth. Now, I know, and probably so do they, that if you type into YouTube proof Jesus is not God, or proof of Muhammad in the Bible and things of this nature, you'll come up with all kinds of results. So really there's almost no point in me making this video except to satisfy a few people who maybe they haven't heard of this stuff before, or maybe they haven't thought about it before. Now, I myself was a Christian before I became Muslim. I used to believe that there were three gods in one in some mysterious way or another. That would be Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and God in one. Now, in this short video, I'm just going to talk about the reasoning or the logic behind how this cannot be, or how this is impossible to believe. First, I'm going to start off with a quote from the Old Testament, from Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 6 to 8. God says, "I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make an idol from the heaven above, or from the earth beneath. And you shall not bow down to them, and you shall not worship them." This basic commandment basically means you cannot worship or you cannot bow down to anything from the creation. If you build a statue and say, this is like God, it's not God fully, but it has some attributes, it doesn't work. Can't do it. You cannot take any image or any idol from the heaven above. Now, this is one of the commandments of in the Old Testament to all of the believers at that time, and Jesus was one of those ones who followed that ruling, the laws of Moses. Now, talking about having a perfect God and a perfect man in one, as someone else posted to my profile, is not possible because you have one who is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, all-powerful, ever-living, and you have another who is a man who is himself a creation. He needs food, he only has a certain lifespan, and he's not all-knowledgeable or all-powerful. These two things cannot come together because we have an infinite being and a finite being. They cannot coexist. By definition, it doesn't make any sense. Now, to the others who say, well, okay, he's not perfect God and perfect man at the same time. He's half man and half God. So we have a character from something from Roman mythology or from Greek mythology of a man that's a god who has all these crazy special powers, and he makes mistakes like a man, but at the same time he's powerful like a god. These two things can't come together because you have God who's perfect, who is infinite. If you take away any of these attributes of God, being all living, all powerful, and put them in a man's form and limit him to time and space, limit him to weakness, limit him to eating, limit him to gaining knowledge from being a baby, from defecating, this is no longer God. So why would you worship this? This is a man. It's a person. It doesn't make any sense. Now, if we go on here to another simple analogy, if we have a circle and we have a square, the circle represents God and all his attributes, and the square represents man and all his attributes. If I look over there and I say, hey look, that's a circle square. What's a circle square? Is it a square that looks like a circle or a circle that looks like a square? We only have two things, a circle and a square. If you have a circle square, it doesn't work. It doesn't mean anything, because we know what circles are and we know what squares are, by definition. If we say we have a circle square, it doesn't make any sense. We're going to go on here now to Mark chapter 11, verse 12 to 14, where it says, Jesus was hungry. He saw a fig tree, or fig leaf, and he went to the tree, but it had no fruit because it wasn't the season for the figs. And so Jesus cursed the tree, and it rotted and died, and so on and so forth. Now from this we see a number of points. 1, Jesus was hungry. God can't be hungry. 2, Jesus didn't know that the fig tree had no fruit. Not all-knowing. He didn't even know it was the season, not the season for figs. Not all-knowing. He made a mistake, and then he cursed the tree. Why didn't he say, oh tree, bear more fruit next year and give it to all the orphans? It doesn't make sense. Why would God do something like that? That's why that man is not God. He was a man. He was a prophet. He worshipped God in heaven, as we are commanded to do, and he commanded us to do it. We are Muslims, and so is he, because he was one who submitted to the will of God in heaven. And that's the definition of a Muslim, one who's following Islam. Peaceful submission to God in heaven. And that's what I recommend all of you Christians look into, and everyone even who's not a Christian, because I was Christian before. I used to believe these doctrines. Please, if you want to be saved from the hellfire, if you want to go to heaven, look into Islam, read the Quran, and find out that there's no one worthy of worship except God in heaven, except Allah. So, really, we only live in this life one time. If you have a faith and you're going to die and stand before God, God's going to say, why did you believe so-and-so? You're going to say, oh God, well I had faith. I didn't need reason. I didn't need logic. I didn't need to become educated about anything. I just believed it. I didn't have any proof for it. How can you say that a man is God? It doesn't make any sense. God commanded you in the Old Testament. He commanded you in the New Testament. Don't make an idol. Don't make an image. Don't worship the creation. How can we do that? How can we stand before God on the day of judgment and answer, oh God, I used to worship your creation. Okay, you didn't worship me, you worshiped my creation. Hellfire. Please learn about Islam before it's too late. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good week.